Hello and welcome to Let's Invest, the show for amateur focus investors. Today we'll be looking at the top 5 overhyped cryptocurrencies and crypto services that have way too big of market cap for what they actually offer. Today's video was made as kind of a part 2 to my last video, which is titled Top 6 Cryptocurrencies with Best Technology So Far. I am making this video today to educate and caution some of the newer cryptocurrency explorers out there of what to look for when evaluating a cryptocurrency in order to reduce risk you expose yourself to when searching for a crypto service or currency to invest in or start using for the long term. I felt it was necessary to make this video today because there seem to be quite a few coins out there that are gaining popularity that have poor long-term solutions or no solutions at all to many of the problems we see in Bitcoin today. There are also a lot of coins that claim to be useful and innovative, but upon a more realistic evaluation, they might have a few improvements going for them, but they are nothing to get excited about when compared to some of what the competition has to offer. With that said, I'd like to clarify that this is a list of both currencies and services, unlike my video, which was just my previous video, which was just currencies. I decided to include both because, quite honestly, there just weren't that many currencies I felt completely justified in calling overrated or overhyped in the top 30 by market cap. So I had to include some services as well that I felt strongly about. There are quite a few that are similar to each other though, like Monero and Bitcoin, but not a lot that were obviously not qualified to be there. That's just healthy competition that I just mentioned, Monero and Bitcoin. Now, before I get into the top 5 coins, here's a list of aspects I look for when determining whether or not a crypto is actually innovative and has long-term potential, or if it's just another shitcoin with a couple improvements and maybe a good marketing strategy or a good-looking website. So here are the desirable features, from most important to least important, and I know that most of these apply to currencies instead of services, but so be it. Services are so different, it's hard to make a solid list to judge them all off of. And I'm not going to read all of them this time like I did last time because that would make this video 10 minutes longer. So if you care to just pause the video right now and just read them as you wish. Alright, I hope you read the list and learned a little bit from it about how I judge the currencies and services. So now for the moment you've all been waiting for, the top 5 overhyped cryptos that do not deserve their place in market cap. From least overhyped to most overhyped. So we're going to start with number 5 on the list, Ethereum Classic. I'd like to point out that Ethereum Classic isn't bad, but why would anybody use it over Ethereum? Plus, Ethereum Classic is 100% proof of work and seems like it always will be, and Ethereum will eventually go to proof of stake from what I can tell by the talk on their forums, which will be a huge upgrade. The only major selling point Ethereum Classic has over Ethereum that some people think is better is that in Ethereum Classic, the code is law, as they put it on their blog, which you can see here, which basically means that all transactions are 100% immutable, even if there was a mistake or someone acquires Ethereum Classic tokens through dishonest means, like what happened with the Ethereum DAO fiasco that led to the hard fork that created the Ethereum we all know today, that we all know as Ethereum today. The Ethereum we know as Ethereum today believes if social pressure wants something to be changed on Ethereum, like during a massive theft of coins, for example, it's difficult, but it can be changed if there's a major consensus. Basically what I'm saying is that I see Ethereum as Ethereum 2.0, with lots more developer and community support as well, and Ethereum Classic as a useful but unnecessary service in the top 20. I think that Ethereum Classic got most of its support on accident, because its name and logo look a lot like Ethereum's, which trick people into thinking that they are somehow part of the same project and thus their prices should move together, which they completely are not. And if I were just if I were making smart contracts, I know personally I would use Ethereum over Ethereum Classic every time. Number 4, economy. I think I'm pronouncing that right. If not, oh well. Now, economy works like it's supposed to, as a set of funds to pick from with managers of those funds to manage your money and invest it as they wish if you don't want to make investment decisions for yourself. But as a focus investor on a focus investing channel who believes that the best investments come from doing your own research, forming your own opinions, to have confidence and knowledge of your own investments, and being responsible for your own money, I do not recommend anyone give their money to another person to invest with as they wish. There is a reason that over 80% of stock and bond mutual funds underperform the market as a whole year over year. I'm not making this statistic up, as you can see right here. That's ridiculous and unacceptable. It proves just how ineffective the professionals are at trying too hard to predict the market in the short term. And I doubt that the fund managers at Economy are any better than the Wall Street professionals when it comes to picking assets to invest in short term. It is my opinion, which is based upon my own research, training, and successes, that you should either invest in what you already know or not invest at all if you're too lazy to do your own research. The best investor of all time and second richest person on earth as of the time I'm making this video is Warren Buffett, a focus investor who studied his own investments and made his own decisions. Number 3, Tether. So Tether, by definition of what it is, has the exact same investment value as the US dollar. So it's probably even better because there's no transaction fees and stuff if you just hoard US dollars, because then they're actually there in your hands and you can see them and feel like you have security of them. I don't think I need to explain it anymore, but I'm going to anyway. The only reason to use Tether is to store your wealth in a more stable place, if you want to call the US dollar stable, for the short term between trades. So this is go for like the day traders who want to store it in USDT, which is just Tether, on like Poloniex or Bittrex, just a trading website. For some reason they don't want to store it in US dollars, so they use Tether instead. But here's my thing. Why don't you just store it in US dollars instead of Tether? I really don't understand this. And then, better yet, why don't you just store it in a stable cryptocurrency that you have a long-term trust in, so even if it does go down, you have the trust or faith that it'll eventually go up, and it can just become a long-term investment for you anyway. I mean, this doesn't really apply to me at all because I don't even trade. But the currencies I'm talking about would be like NIM or Litecoin, the ones that are stable and don't have too much drama around them. The whole point of cryptocurrencies also is to not rely on a central government that controls the money supply, which Tether is tethered to. Also, with Tether, there's supposedly, you just have to take their word for it, that there's $1 US backing every Tether in some safe or bank account somewhere, which to me sounds like the opposite of decentralization and a major point of failure if it is ever corrupted in some way. So, first off, the main point here is, why would I ever use Tether instead of US dollars? Obviously, it's a bad investment anyway, because $1 million today in Tether is going to be worth $1 million in 10 years by definition. But the service, I think, is overrated. Number 2, Zcash. Okay, so now we're getting into the really overhyped stuff. I made a video called Monero versus Pivx versus Zcash, simple comparison if you want to know deeper technical details of Zcash. But this one makes the list as the number 2 most overhyped coin for the following reasons. Number 1, technically, by almost all measures, Zcash is just Litecoin, with private transactions, which I'll get into more later. Number 2, Zcash has a 10% treasury fund, but it ceases to exist after 4 years. To me, this, coupled with the extremely low coin supply currently and the extremely fast explosion of it, sounds like the perfect recipe for a crypto scam for the creators to profit, then abandon the project. Number 3, it is 100% proof of work and will be nearly 100% mined out by the year 2032 at about 21 million coins. So pretty much Bitcoin. Reason number 4, Monero, Dash, and Pivx are astronomically better choices for a privacy coin in terms of scalability and community. Number 5, the final reason. Zcash is fundamentally identical to dozens of shitcoins. It's doomed for long-term failure and offers nothing new, even though it's a brand new coin that was launched October 28th of 2016. And it offers nothing new. Seriously, who the hell is investing in this? Number 1, and I'm sorry to say, it's Bitcoin. I know, we all know, Bitcoin has a truckload of seemingly unfixable problems, and there's no reason for me to get into them right now. I have a video going into more detail on this subject too, called Bitcoin's Problems Explained, if you're interested. But Bitcoin deserves to be up here as number 1 because it is number 1 in market cap, and it's number 1 in fundamental flaws as well. While I hold a great deal of respect for Satoshi Nakamoto, the Bitcoin community, Bitcoin developers, miners, and users, I think it's time to admit that Generation 2 coins are here to stay. And if we embrace NIM, Dash, Monero, Pivx, Ethereum, and all the other quality cryptocurrencies and services on the market today, which have solved all of Bitcoin's major problems, and just let Bitcoin be the legend that effectively introduced the world to blockchain technology and leave it at that, then I think the crypto world can move along at greater speeds with more users and investors funding more creation and adoption of blockchain technology and decentralized applications. Overall, other than these exceptions I just named, the top 30 or 40 currencies and services listed on CoinMarketCap.com are pretty solid technology and ideas for the most part, even if some have some pretty stiff competition. You might be wondering why Litecoin didn't make this list, even though it's pretty much no competition for Dash or NIM or many of the other currencies of today. The reason I think it earns a spot near the top is because I really believe that it will adopt a better scaling solution like SegWit in the future, and if not, well, it's definitely better than Bitcoin in every aspect. And also I just have some respect for Litecoin as well, with it being the first most long-term coin to recognize and try to solve Bitcoin's problems. That's all for today, guys. I hope this episode was helpful for those wanting to know how to reasonably evaluate crypto investments. Also, I'm not making this video as a prediction of any kind. For all I know, Ethereum Classic, Zcash, and Bitcoin could be like the top 3 in market cap in 5 years. For all I know. But I find that pretty unlikely, as I pointed out in this video. But I thought I should say that just to cover myself, because I don't know everything, and I don't want to be blamed for making someone miss out on a great opportunity that they were originally going to invest in, let's say, Zcash, and it becomes the biggest cryptocurrency. I don't want to be responsible for that. You should really do your own research yourself, as I've said when talking about economy, before you decide what or what not to invest in. With that said, what cryptos do you think are overhyped? And what cryptos do you think deserve more credit? Put your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and let's invest.